Tell us about the new study showing more cell towers linked to higher deaths from cancers in Brazil.
This was a study called The Effects of Continuous Low-Intensity Exposure to Electromagnetic Fields from Radio Base Stations to Cancer Mortality in Brazil. And what they found was that for all cancers and for specific types that they investigated, breast, cervix, lung, and esophagus cancers, the higher the exposure to radio base station radio frequency, which is like cell towers or cell antennas mounted on buildings, the higher the median mortality rate. And there have been several studies in Brazil that have actually looked at where the cell towers are and the cancer rates. And so this is a very important study. In fact, Brazil has other studies that looked at cell phones in kids exposure, as well as tablet exposure, like when you hold a tablet in front of your head, how much radiation is being absorbed into the different parts of your brain for children and for adults, that have been critically important. And there's actually many scientists in Brazil who have been writing the elected officials, and that's all happening right now because they are really trying to support more protective policy in the country and in South America, actually.
How much impact does Wi-Fi in the other room have on our health?
Well, with any situation, measurements is how you know what's happening in your home or in different rooms. So when there is wireless in a room next door, if that router is up against the wall, like was the case in my previous home where I was in a condo, my neighbor, I didn't have any wireless, but my neighbor had all of her wireless things right against the wall down in the living room near where we sat on the couch. And it was coming right through that wall. The wall was not reflecting it back into her room. And I tried to speak to her about it, but it was not something that she was that interested in. So I ended up needed to, actually we ended up moving, but we did need to put a barrier in between our homes for that. So that's why it's so important to talk to your friends and family about this and to share the science and to help them really to make the changes that are needed. Because at first it seems rather daunting to swap out Wi-Fi with wired, but actually it can be done. And certainly you can create a hybrid situation at first that's quite workable. So you can have Wi-Fi in one part of your house and you can receive those signals in other rooms.
Please discuss the role of insurers like Lloyd's of London and their estimation of cell phone radiation exposure. Why are electromagnetic fields defined as pollutants by insurance companies? What pushback is there against this by cell phone companies? How does this compare to other pollutants like alkali chemicals or asbestos?
Well, it is interesting that when cell phone companies provide you with insurance, they define pollution. In their definition of pollution, it is included microwaves, non-ionizing radiation, magnetic fields, and this really is an uninsurable risk. So Swiss Re, which is an insurance authority, and Lloyd's of London and Austrian insurance companies have issued white papers where they classify the future risk from wireless technology as high. Because imagine we have all of these people at every age from pregnancy, toddler, baby, teenager, adults who are being exposed. And there is a long latency to when you would see effects for many of the effects like tumors, cancers, which can take years to develop. So they have, classified the risk as high. The insurance companies warn their shareholders in their 10Ks and their annual reports that there could be impacts if laws change and if they lose lawsuits, because there's a lot of lawsuits already in place related to this technology and to radio frequency radiation. but they don't warn, the wireless companies warn their shareholders, but they do not warn the people living near their cell antenna or their infrastructure. They don't warn the consumers who are using devices, and they only warn their shareholders. So it's uninsurable. I mean, I think this is really important. And I would ask, when, in working on this issue to your elected officials, what insurance do you have to protect against the potential future claims which are already coming in many communities related to this? If you're putting up that small cell, quote, small cell, do you have insurance to cover impacts? Am I, the taxpayer, going to ultimately have to pay the bill? Because I will say, in our community, when we looked into this, we were told that, like Montgomery County Schools, they self-insure. Crown Castle, who is putting up a lot of these installations and renting space to Verizon and other companies, they say, we don't have any insurance related to these matters. Who does have insurance? I mean, this is important nut to crack. And you can go to Environmental Health Trust, ehtrust.org, to get more information. We have sections showing the 10Ks, sections showing the white papers, sections of our website showing the statements about pollution that these companies have.